Today we have Carter. Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. So we're going to see all her art, and we have a little artist talk. Can you introduce yourself?
I'm Carter Hodgkin. I am a painter. I've lived in New York for the last 41 years and have been in the art world since then.
Carter, she has a lot of different kind of art. She has a mosaic, she has a digital art, she has a traditional canvas art, and her work is also showcasing a lot of public space like Queen's College, and we still can see her work. We will talk about her work in Queen's College. Can you tell us a little bit more and introduce these the mosaic you
Okay. Um, sure. I guess I'd like to backtrack and start with, how I got involved in a mosaic to begin with. When I graduated from art school, I moved to San Francisco and was not especially interested in the digital thing that was starting then. It was the late 70s. But once I was working in wall size installations on rice paper and doing a kind of coding with squares and engaging in like a pattern recognition experiments and in the process of looking. And I moved to New York in 1980, and there was a lot of talk about photography and an essay by Walter Benjamin called The Image and the Age of Reproduction, something like that. And I was really taken aback that the digital wasn't included in this analysis of imagery. And that started me on a course of looking at what was happening in the tech, especially with imaging, digital imaging world, which was really just starting in the early 80s. And so I started looking at especially medical imaging because a lot of things were being imaged and reduced to bits and bytes, but they were from real parts of the body. And I started looking for ways to put this digital language into my work. So I identify as a painter, and so I've felt strongly over the years that there is a place in the history of painting for what we've been experiencing in our lives becoming very digitized. So I've looked at that and done many bodies of work dealing with digital verse in painting, and it's like not, it's not a natural fit in a way, but I think I found a kind of a way to deal with it that's interesting to me, at least. So how I got into mosaic was an interesting kind of story. Let's see. Well, I live near the World Trade Center, so I'll just start there with the fact that I was at home during 9/11. It really impacted my life. After that, I also broke my leg. I was, at that point, in the early 2000s, I was a web designer as a day job.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, I learned all these tools even before there was Adobe, I was using paint programs and looking at fractal geometry and stuff like that. So anyhow, after experiencing my neighborhood being wrecked by 9/11 and then me breaking my leg, I had a job at Martha Stewart, and it was like my last real.
Oh,
corporate
Martha
job.
Stewart.
Yeah, I was doing.
What did you do in Martha
I
Stewart?
was doing banner ads and promotions, stuff like that, using code, JavaScript to make Flash banner ads.
How did you learn how to code? Web design and code is actually still is like different things.
Sorry, what kind of code?
Yeah, JavaScript.
Yeah, JavaScript mainly.
I mean, how did you learn how to do code like a JavaScript?
Self-taught. I mean, learned HTML. HTML was always changing. Before that, it was Lingo, which was, doing CD-ROM stuff. So, learned on the job, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, so maybe we can take a look of your animations.
Yeah, but anyway, what I was going to say with the story about the mosaics is I got this phone call saying that I'd been shortlisted for a public art project. And when I come to this meeting, and I was really at that point ready to leave New York and move somewhere else. So I went to the meeting. I ended up getting this large commission, and to me, I was working with particle collisions, and the image source was originally digital, so I could easily kind of translate it into a mosaic. So that's how that got started.
Yeah, I have a good friend. He's American. He has a company. He make a lot of tiles and the mosaic. He done several public art in your city. Yeah, I should talk to him to let him see your work. I wish I can see it in person sometimes.
Well,
Queens College.
I'm going to flip through it. Yeah, it's to get to Queens College, you can take the subway, the E train, all the way to the end, and then transfer to a bus. It would be great if they had a subway stop out there.
Really great work. How long does it take to finish this?
Well, this one was 3 stories high and 9 columns. So the particles wrap around the columns in the hallway. The image is a subatomic particle collision that starts on the top floor, and all the particles drop to the bottom floor. So this took, in terms of fabrication, I hired 2 people to help me, and it took about 3 months to put the image together on sheets of tile. And I had to store all of that for almost a year, I think, before I was able to install it, because they were doing this new building and I had to wait for the building to be completed. And then after that, I did one at Neiman Marcus and Capital One outside of DC, and the latest one was the Mayo Clinic, which I did actually during the pandemic.
Yeah, let's go check the others, like Capital. Okay. Yeah, let's see.
Here's Neiman Marcus.
Okay, Neiman.
And that was for the ladies' shoe department. There's a champagne bar, and this is in Beverly Hills.
Oh, so this, okay.
Yeah. And then this is.
I'll go to LA next week. Maybe I go check.
Oh, you are? Oh,
I go to NFT LA.
Well, yeah, it was easy to get there. It's on, the main drag.
Yeah, I used to walk around the gallery around there.
Yeah. Yeah. Gagosian's not too far from where it is. This one is at Capital One, outside of DC. And
yeah, I really like these the abstract lines and circles.
Oh, thank you. Well, they're all different about the motion of particles colliding and going and spinning around.
How did you draw this line, or this is a more like a generative?
It's generative. So I use processing. Have you heard of
Okay.
processing?
Yeah, I know. I
And-
just heard processing from Scott, the other artist.
Right. Well,
But it sounds like it is like an old tool.
old, yes. It's been around since at least 2008. Ben Fry and well, I'm forgetting the other guy's name all of a sudden. I'm sorry.
Flash. Yeah, that's
There were two guys at MIT. It's open source, and so I happened when I had my broken leg. I was working with particle collisions, but using silkscreen and images that I got from physicists. But then I happened to go on this MIT website and find processing where I can make my own collisions happen. So that's how I create these images.
Nice.
Using code. And there's the Mayo Clinic. So animations, I'm also using the same code and making animations. I also was fortunate there was a place called the LED Lab in Tribeca, near where I live. And they allowed me to display my animations on their incredible displays, but they've since left New York, unfortunately. And I've shown them in different places, and then I have a bunch on Vimeo. So I composite different collisions and into compositions, and I put them together into an animation.
Nice.
So, and then with my paintings, you have a long history of painting, and I'm also creating collisions and using my Mosaic process of taking the image and making kind of a mosaic interpolation, maybe you'd say. I'm using I color paper and cut it up and put it on a canvas and board. And so I'm doing a lot of cutting and gluing. There's a detail.
Yeah, it's nice. Do you have a studio right now?
Yes, I have a studio in my loft, and I have a studio upstate. So,
yeah, let's talk about your early year. Because I noticed you also you used to live and travel to the other side of the world.
Right. Okay. So, yeah. One of the best things I ever did was take an anthropology class in art school. And it really opened my eyes, besides the fact that, my family was in Japan and stuff like that. It just opened my eyes to different cultures and different ways of doing things, and being really interested in that. So, and then moving to San Francisco with a very interesting population of people, mainly from Asia. And I got lucky in the late 80s, lucky in terms of being able to go to Singapore, where I saw a lot of super new building and super old building together, just right together next to each other. And it really fascinated me. And from Singapore, I went to Indonesia and Thailand and can't remember, Hong Kong. And then let's see. Oh, I was saying I went to Japan with a friend of mine when she had a show there. And that was really cool. I saw my great-grandparents' grave in Yokohama and just, took in Japan. And then I had a show with my former East Village dealer, Nature Mort, in India, in Delhi, in 1998. So I went to Delhi, had that show, and then was in a art, I don't want to say art colony, but it was called Koj Workshop. So there were artists from all over the world that were invited to come and live together for 2 weeks and make an artwork. That was really interesting and a fantastic experience. And then after that, I traveled to Nepal and was amazed by Nepal. So since then, I haven't been back. Just because of the events of the early 2000s, but I hope to get back to Asia sometime.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about your books. You have some publications, some books.
Oh, my books?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so let's see, I was a workspace artist at Dudonay Paper Mill, and I made these sutra, sort of, inspired by sutra books, where I was photo silk screening, scanning electron micrographs of lung tissue, and then also painting an edge, what I called edge detection, like finding the edges of the form. And juxtaposing these two things together. The edges of the form were painted in gouache, and these were on handmade paper and pulled together as a sutra book.
Nice.
And I call that the Book of Changes series. And then for the Koj workshop, I did something called the Kama Sutra series. While I was in India, walking around in the markets. But anyway, the Star report came out about Bill Clinton's affair with Monica Lewinsky, and I had to get a copy of that. And then I got a copy of the Kama Sutra, all these beautiful reproductions, and I started pasting these together and creating palm leaf books.
That's something nice, because I went to your website, I read this, and I think this is really good.
Yeah, it was fun.
Like
I had a great time. Yeah. What I find hysterical about making this was the text is from a very legal point of view about sex. It's, a lawyer defining with footnotes about sex. And then I'll have, a very sexual image from the Kama Sutra. I really enjoyed making this.
I found this so interesting. And I think I watched a movie from Bollywood. They talk about Kama Sutra. I think that's really helpful than a lot of Western type of the physical therapists, maybe.
Yeah.
And they have like a yoga, like a meditation, and it's not only about sex. It's about like the food, about the exercise and the meditation. I think it's really interesting.
Right. The other thing I did with this was, it was not expensive to buy a bunch of books, and I got self-help books, that women usually read. And I was going through a divorce at that time. So, it was, I was cutting up all of these advice to women about what to do and juxtaposing it with pornographic text that's in the Indian, I can't remember the alphabet, Indian alphabet, what do you call that? But anyway, and images from the Kama Sutra. So, and the palm leaves were from the palm trees on the property. So I cured them and prepared them for pasting, cutting and pasting. Yeah, these were fun. This one is titled Women to Watch Out For.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I did a series called the Joss series, inspired from being in Singapore, and these papers that you can get that are Joss paper, and I printed these images from scanning electron micrographs on them. So yeah, that's a whole nother series. Yeah, so and in the 90s, I was doing a lot of, I've used a lot of rice paper in my time. I like the Asian papers, and I did a series called Specimens, where I was scanning and manipulating these close-ups of cells from scanning electron micrographs, and then piecing these onto rolls of paper. So they're like scrolls. I like looking at a lot of painting from China and the scrolls, you know. So using a lot of that.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's just so interesting. You have a lot of influence from East.
Yeah.
And
Well,
especially Southeast Asia.
Yeah, one thing that, you know, one reason I do this is because I'm interested in, number one, the high tech versus something low tech in terms of
Right.
material, and also something that's very tactile.
Also some
Taking-
like traditional versus
Right.
the tech and modern.
Right, and taking it into something that's very tactile and not like a computer screen or something slick, but something that's, you know, you can feel the material by looking at it. So this was a very large piece I showed in the early 90s at Burland Hall, a gallery in New York. Very large. And I found bamboo poles in the in Midtown, and so they're hanging from bamboo poles, which are also hanging from the ceiling. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, this is also looks Chinese. Like calligraphy.
I love Chinese landscape painting. It's one of my favorite things to look at the Metropolitan Museum in New York. I'd love to go to the museum in Taiwan. That's got the best, right?
Yeah, we have it's pretty much the contemporary art these days in Taiwan.
Oh, but don't they have a really, really good collection of?
Yes, it's a place called I don't even remember. It's a place that we have a huge collections of ancient Chinese, especially from Qing Dynasty.
Yes.
A lot of work like statues made from jade.
Wow.
Yeah, so the beautiful stones and jade. Yeah, I've been there only twice because it's always a lot of tourists. Well, it's just like yeah, like a Matt, unless you join the membership, you can have like a private tour. Yeah, I have a friends that they have a shows. they have a really interesting shows. At one time, they have a techno DJs and they do ambient trance party.
Oh, wow.
Because they say, yeah, the party was called like the old is the new, something like that, and I think it's interesting.
Huh. Yeah, that is interesting.
um, so do you want to talk anything else you like to showcase, or any techniques, stories behind your art?
Trying to think of what I would just say that, I'm using, I do believe that, our world of the digital could be reflected in an interesting way in painting and brought into art and fine art. And, I feel like I'm drawing with code when I'm using processing and then translating it into painting. So, it is a process, and some people don't, might not like it because it's complicated or it seems complicated, but it's not that bad for me. I like it.
Yeah, this is you have to think about more like an engineer when you do this.
Yeah. For me, it brings together everything I've experienced since 1980, really, I guess you would say. Yeah, I'm not sure what else to talk about.
So our next show is in Southampton Art Center. Which hours you're going to showcase or NFTs?
I don't think I have them on. I have these paintings from a series, and let's see. Unforeseen behaviors, where I was using gravity as the main element in creating these paintings. And this was around 2010, 2009. And they selected a couple of paintings from this series. Right now I'm using squares, and it's more mosaicized, the image. But back over 10 years ago, I was using dots. And so these images are more fragile looking, maybe you would say, or delicate.
Okay. Are you going to just showcase NFTs or?
I have some NFTs, but they're not going to be I'm putting paintings in the Southampton show.
Yeah, I really look forward.
Pardon? Yeah, I've made some NFTs. I am such addicted to painting that it's kind of hard for me to stop and do an NFT type thing.
But you start early for digital art, really early.
Yes.
Or generative art before a lot of people not even know what is NFT. It's a digital art, it's not NFT. But I mean, that's why we met in Take Impressionism. A lot of people don't know how to fit in any group, but use computer art.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, this is a really nice talk. So yeah, I wish we can meet in Southampton very soon. That's actually just 1 month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, and we should actually announce that the open started from April. I think say the end of April.
April 23rd.
April 23rd. So we're going to have
on a Saturday.
Saturday, Southampton Art Center. Please come.
Yeah.